Why is Superman afraid of Plastic Man? Most villains who face Superman usually end up with one of three outcomes: getting punched away, being trapped by heat vision, or being frozen by his super breath. But Plastic Man is completely different. His entire body is made of flexible, shape-changing molecules. He has no fixed physical form. He can stretch, flatten, split apart, and reshape himself into almost anything. If Superman tries to punch him, Plastic Man can simply expand and absorb the impact like rubber. If Superman tries to grab him, he can change his form and slip away between Superman's fingers. But the most troublesome part is Plastic Man's unbelievable survival ability. Even if he is frozen, torn apart, or broken into countless pieces, as long as his molecules are not completely destroyed, he can slowly reform and rebuild his entire body. That makes completely eliminating him extremely difficult. Superman's concern about Plastic Man isn't because Plastic Man can overpower him in a direct fight. The real problem is that Superman has very few ways to permanently stop him. So if you could choose one ability to counter Plastic Man, which would work better, freezing him completely or breaking him down at the molecular level?
Are Reverse Flash and Black Flash really the same? If you think they are identical, you're completely wrong. Reverse Flash is a living human being. He comes from the 25th century and was once a huge fan of the Flash. After discovering the Speed Force, he traveled back to the Flash's era. But later, he discovered that he was destined to become one of the greatest villains in the Flash's history. That realization completely changed his mindset. Over time, his obsession turned into hatred, and he began destroying everything connected to the Flash. In the end, he didn't just want to defeat the Flash, he wanted the Flash to suffer forever. But Black Flash is completely different. Black Flash is an emotionless Speed Force entity, the Grim Reaper of speedsters. It has no hatred, no personal preferences, and no desire for revenge. There are no personal grudges or emotional motives behind its action. When a speedster's time has come to an end, or when someone seriously disrupts time and damages the balance of the Speed Force, Black Flash appears. Its only purpose is to track down and reclaim speedsters. It is simply carrying out the rules of the universe. One comes from hatred, the other comes from destiny, and that is the true difference between Reverse Flash and Black Flash.
Who has the stronger size-changing power in the boys' universe? First, there's Emma Meyer, better known as Little Cricket. A student at Godolphin University, Emma can shrink down to the size of an ant or grow to the height of a small building. Unlike most soups, her power is directly tied to food. To shrink, she must reduce the amount of food in her system. To return to normal size or grow larger, she needs to eat. At first, her ability seemed completely dependent on this process. After an emotional confrontation with Sam, Emma accidentally began shrinking without intentionally triggering her power. This suggested that her size-changing abilities are also influenced by her emotional state. By the final battle against Thomas Godolphin, Emma could change her size much more freely than before, showing significant growth in both confidence and power. Next is Termite. Unlike Emma, Termite can only shrink. He can instantly reduce his size and return to normal within seconds. Even more dangerous, shrinking dramatically increases his physical strength relative to his size. This made him a surprisingly difficult opponent, giving both Frenchie and Kimiko Miyashiro trouble during their encounters with him. The downside is that Termite rarely used his power strategically. Most of his appearances involved reckless behavior rather than effective combat. His story ended after being hit by Soldier Boy's energy blast, which stripped away his abilities. Unable to return to normal size, he later died while trying to get help. So who has the stronger ability? Do you know whose fire control ability is stronger? First, let's look at Golden Boy. The star student of Godolphin University possessed one of the most destructive fire abilities in the franchise. His body could generate immense thermal energy, allowing him to engulf himself in flames without harm. He could unleash streams of fire from his hands, melt metal, ignite targets, and attack effectively at both close and long range. Unlike many fire users, Golden Boy could precisely control the intensity of his flames. He could also fly. By directing flames beneath his feet, he created enough thrust to launch himself into the air and maneuver at high speed. After discovering the truth about what happened to his brother, Golden Boy turned against the people who had deceived him. He killed the university's corrupt leadership, and rather than become a laboratory specimen, chose to end his own life in a massive explosion high above the campus. Next is Lamplighter. Lamplighter was also a master of fire manipulation. He could control and shape flames with impressive precision, increase their intensity, and even melt metal barriers. However, his power came with a major limitation. Unlike Golden Boy, he could not create fire on his own. He always needed an external flame source, such as a lighter, torch, or existing fire, before he could use his abilities. That weakness made him far less versatile in combat. Over the years, Lamplighter was consumed by guilt and felt abandoned by Bot International. He set herself on fire in the Seven's Hall to buy time to save Starlight. So, who do you think is a bit stronger? Who has the stronger mind control ability, Kate or Thomas Godolkin? First, let's look at Kate. Kate is one of the most powerful students at Godolkin University. She's known for her telepathic abilities and powerful mental manipulation. Not only can she read people's thoughts, but she can also take direct control of their actions. All she needs is physical contact. Once she touches someone, she can implant commands that the target is forced to obey. The victim remains fully aware of what's happening, but loses the ability to resist. Her ability is built around close-range encounters and one-on-one domination. Now let's talk about Thomas Godolkin. As the founder of Godolkin University, his abilities operate on a completely different scale. His specialty is transferring his consciousness into other people and taking control of their bodies. Unlike Kate, he doesn't need physical contact. He can activate his power remotely using only his mind. Even more impressive, he can influence multiple people at the same time. His control covers a much larger area and gives him far greater tactical flexibility. That said, Kate's strength lies in immediate domination. Her commands are fast, direct, and extremely difficult to resist. Thomas offers greater range and versatility. Kate offers stronger single-target control. Both are masters of mental powers, but they excel in different ways. So what do you think? If these two went head-to-head, whose mind control ability would come out on top?
Who has the most useless superpower in The Boys? First up is Swatto. He was a member of Payback and had giant fly-like wings. His power let him fly just like an insect, making him useful for aerial scouting and reconnaissance. That was pretty much it. He had almost no close-range combat ability and relied heavily on his thousands of compound eyes to observe the battlefield from above. His biggest weakness, however, wasn't physical. It was his lack of judgment. During the Nicaragua operation, Swatto started showing off his flying skills to the soldiers in camp. What he forgot was that his wings were incredibly loud. The noise carried across a huge distance and alerted enemy forces to their position. The camp was quickly attacked, and while trying to escape, Swatto was taken out by a rocket before he could get away. Next is Rock. His ability allowed him to generate superheated magma and use it to reinforce his body. His durability was so impressive that he could reportedly withstand even Homelander's heat vision. On paper, that sounds like one of the strongest powers in the series. There was a catch. Over time, Rock became completely consumed by a sedentary lifestyle and stopped taking care of himself. Eventually, he grew so massive that he weighed around 13 tons. At that point, he could barely move, couldn't actively fight, and had become a stationary target. Instead of being a powerful weapon, he ended up as a test subject for a virus experiment conducted by the boys. The experiment ended in disaster, and Rock was killed in the process. Do you know whose ability is the most useless? Who has the most useless superpower in The Boys? First up is Firecracker. At first glance, her powers don't seem all that impressive. She can create small sparks from her fingers, a flashy ability that looks more like a firework than a serious weapon. However, she does have one major advantage, an extremely powerful healing factor. After being badly injured by Starlight, she recovered in just a single day. That's a level of durability most supes would love to have. She also found another way to stay valuable within the Seven. Her unusual ability to produce breast milk became part of her strange and complicated relationship with Homelander. In the end, Firecracker's downfall came from politics rather than power. After privately discussing her true opinions with Soldier Boy and expressing doubts about Homelander's self-proclaimed status as the one true savior, her loyalty came into question. When Homelander learned about it, the consequences were swift and deadly. Next is Translucent. His power allows him to become completely invisible. On top of that, his carbon-based skin is nearly indestructible, making him resistant to bullets, knives, and most conventional attacks. On paper, that's an incredible power set. Rather than becoming one of the world's greatest spies or intelligence operatives, Translucent often used his invisibility for invasive and selfish behavior. After being captured by the boys, they discovered the one weakness his indestructible skin couldn't protect. The result was one of the most shocking deaths in the series. So, who do you think had the most useless power in The Boys? Which supes in The Boys are the dumbest?
Those are my men!
The first one has to be Swatto. Swatto loves flying high above the battlefield during stealth missions. The problem? His wings are so loud that enemies can hear him from hundreds of yards away. He may not look very bright, but somehow his decision-making is even worse. When the enemy attacks, his first instinct is to run, and somehow, the higher he flies, the worse things end for him. Next up is Gunpowder. If Swatto's battle IQ is 0, Gunpowder's might actually be negative. He has a habit of spraying machine gun fire everywhere during fights. Unfortunately, that often includes his own teammates, and somehow, he's surprisingly accurate when doing it. More than once, he ended up making the enemy's job a whole lot easier. Then there's Blind Spot. Blind Spot can't see, but he makes up for it with enhanced senses and peak physical abilities. He can locate targets through sound and echolocation. On paper, that's actually a pretty useful power. His real weakness wasn't his ability, it was his confidence. Blind Spot believed his super hearing was even more valuable than Homelander's vision, so he challenged Homelander directly to prove it. That decision ended exactly as badly as you'd expect. Homelander permanently destroyed destroyed his hearing and ended his superhero career before it even began. So, who do you think was the dumbest soup in The Boys? Or is there someone even worse?